Our story begins at the tuning exams during the fight between the demon Gaara and the taijutsu prodigy Rock Lee. In this timeline, let's pretend Lee would have opened the 5th gate right away after dropping his weighted plates. From the new freeness in his movements and the drastic increase in power output, within the first few blows from this hidden lotus, he'd accidentally kill Gaara, eliminating his opponent to the baffling surprise to the entire audience. Shocked by such a gory scene, Kankuro and Temari jumping in would attack him in a blind fury, proceeding to attempt vengeance. Both would end up being stopped by Guy Sensei. This would lead to the disqualification from the exams to the disappointment of the boy, feeling a sense of sadness for the result of the battle. Nevertheless, him not being bedridden, he'd help out during the Konoha invasion, fighting both of Gaara's siblings who'd want revenge for what happened. Opening the first 2 gates, the young green leaf defeated both his enemies without ending them, feeling an abundance of conflicted emotions for what he did to their brother. From the swiftness of his speed, he'd only look like a green blur. The attack on the hidden leaf would cease a lot sooner. With this display of rightfully earned strength, Neji finally acknowledged his childhood rival. He'd end up challenging Lee to test who's the better combatant. This would be no challenge to his own surprise. Regardless of the multiple rotations to play as defense or the 64 palms as offense, Rock Lee was way too much for the Byakugan prodigy. This newfound respect from his teammate strengthened their bond, actually making them best friends. During the Sasuke Retrieval Arc, instead of Kiba, it'd be Lee. The upcoming battle between him and Sakon would be a little to no challenge, which would allow him to catch up to Naruto before facing off against Kimimaro. Being that in this timeline Lee didn't need the medicine from Lady Tsunade, he wouldn't have gotten drunk because Guy Sensei wouldn't need to give him anything. Engaging the descendant of Kaguya, he'd open all the way to the 5th gate, actually being a challenge for the man. However, he'd activate Chris Mark Vision to turn in the tides of battle about to end the young boy, before having Guy Sensei step in, opening the 6th gate for the first time before Lee's eyes. He'd hit him with a series of fiery punches, killing the man. "Never forget this, Lee," uttered the man, to the amazement of his students. Our scene skips to part 2 of the series. Everything would remain the same where Lee had no fights except for the one against himself. Thankfully, with him training extensively with Might Guy, he would have started Shippuden being able to open the 7th gate, and also becoming a Jonin because he had retook the tuning exams over the 3-year time skip. Moving on to the war arc, he'd be with Kakashi and Guy. Swapping fists with Haku, it'd be an exotic display of raw martial arts as they ignited air with Asakujaku in efforts to destroy the endless amount of ice mirrors. Jumping from glass to glass, the undead soldier of Kabuto tried his best to avoid the blows, but it was to no avail. Not being used to the form, the young green leaf stuck to the sidelines to regain his stamina at the order of his sensei. Jumping back in the fray, the opponent before him and his master would be Madara Uchiha. He was successful in becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Accepting the cost of their sacrifice, both teacher and student embodied the power of youth, punching their chest with their thumb in order to direct chakra there, unleashing the 8 inner gate. The constant fighting during the war evolved his abilities to heights near his master. Blitzing across the terrain, space warped around itself as the duo began walking on air. The Gate of Death granting the power of 100 times greater than the 5 Kage. Jumping, the most powerful man in shinobi history, the twin red beast bombarded the Rinnegan user with double evening elephants, fully obliterated in his body with the night guy on each side, preventing his escape. Both turned to ashes, disintegrated, for they had finished the fight before Naruto could get back to the battlefield to heal anyone. Burning away in a flaming glory, stayed true to the power of youth.